Loretta just gave me something that I think is the goal to this shit as far as this argument, because I don't want to be uninformed. I'm not the most familiar as it relates to Judaism, to be honest. The history of it. As it relates to who was the initial chosen people of God. Because I believe that that's what this is about. It starts there, and then it's about territory. So we gonna get into that. But first, I want to show right off rip Kyrie Irving, the latest anti-Semitic
The
allegedly.
the goat.
Kyrie is go. I ain't lying, bro. I've already marveled about Kyrie's like ability on the court. He a real artist, man. His timing, you know what I'm saying, all that. But the fact of how real he could keep it, he definitely you could tell he won the ring with LeBron because he keep it all the way true. Even he like an extension of that because LeBron wouldn't take it this deep, but he taking it so deep that you got to believe that. The one thing before we even start, let's applaud the hoodie that he got on. If you notice, the hoodie that dog got on is this Mansa Musa, the Mali Empire, the richest black man all time. He trying to speak to these niggas, but they ain't listening. But I heard this, bro. I'm gonna play it, but I heard this and I didn't see nothing wrong with what he said. I was completely shocked. And any person who's not really connected to Judaism or connected with this whole, aspect of what going back and forth, you would have heard what he said, and I don't think anybody would have taken any offense. He didn't sound like he was like trying to single anybody out. He wasn't trying to call anybody out in a negative way. I just thought that it was pretty fair the way he stood on his own historical principles. But I'm gonna play it.
Yeah, he was able to be assertive without sounding unintelligent, and that shit
Yeah.
is admirable.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Because normally it go out like AB, half an AB interview. If we got enough time after this, I am going to slide to that. But I want to stay on the anti-Semitic.
And it's a title given to Christ, Philippians 2:11. And my name translates in the Hebrew language as Yahweh. So I went on the Amazon Prime. I was like, you know what? Let me see if there are any documentaries on Yahweh. So went in the search bar, typed in Yahweh. That came up. Went out and shared it on my platform. That was my night. In terms of the backlash or what people call it, we're in 2022. History is not supposed to be hidden from anybody. And I'm not a divisive person when it comes to religion. I embrace all walks of life. You see it on all my platforms. I talk to all races, all cultures, all religions. And my response would be, it's not about educating yourself on what Semitism is and what anti-Semitism is. It's really about learning the root words of where these come from and understanding that this is an African heritage that is also belonging to the people. Africa is in it, whether we want to dismiss it or not. So the claims of anti-Semitism and who are the original chosen people of God, and we go into these religious conversations and it's a big no-no. I don't live my way like that. I don't live my life that way. Excuse me. I grew up in a melting.
I guess he said he grew up in a melting pot.
And I say a melting pot of all races.
I don't know why this shit acted up.
Black.
Hold on.
Christian, Muslim, and you can see the way I live my life now. I'm not here to be divisive, so they could push their agenda. I don't want to say they, because I'm not identifying any one group or race of people, but I'm in a unique position to have a level of influence on my community. And what I post does not mean that I support everything that's being said or everything that's being done, or I'm campaigning for anything. All I do is post things for my people in my community and those that it's actually going to impact. Anybody else that has criticism, it obviously wasn't meant for them.
Hopefully I'm understanding what you said, and I want to make sure I get it right because I don't want to misquote.
I don't expect understanding from a media conglomerate group that sincerely talks about the game of basketball, and then we bring up religion as if it's correlative at times when it's convenient for people to bring it up. So please just be direct with your question so we can move on from this and I can talk about the game and go home to my son Elohim and my wife Marlene, okay?
Am I to take it that this was what you shared was not something that you've even watched? This was, you did watch it or either watch it or read it.
I had a lot of time last year to read a lot, read a whole bunch. good and bad, about the truth of our world.
So then do you, I guess, understand or not understand those that might imply that that work had anti-Semitic leanings in it? And I only ask this because the tweet is still up there, so
we're in 2022. It's on Amazon, a public platform. Whether you want to go watch it or not is up to you. There's things being posted every day. I'm no different than the next human being, so don't treat me any different. You guys come in here and make up this powerful influence I have over top of the adultery of, oh, you cannot post that. Why not? Why not? Everybody posts everything else. You saw the word nigger going up on Twitter, right?
Whew.
I don't hear an uproar of that. I'm not here to be divisive on what's going on this or that. I'm not comparing Jews to blacks. I'm not comparing white to black. I'm not doing that. That conversation is dismissive, and it constantly revolves around the rhetoric of who are the chosen people of God. And I'm not here to argue over a person or a culture or religion on what they believe. Nah, this is what is here. It's on a public platform. Did I do anything illegal? Okay. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Did I do anything illegal? Did I hurt anybody? Did I harm anybody? Am I going out and saying that I hate one specific group of people? So out of all the judgment that people got from me posting, I just, without talking to me, and then I respect what Joe said, but there has a lot to do with the not ego or pride of how proud I am to be an African heritage, but also to be living as a free black man here in America, knowing the historical complexities for me to get here. So I'm not going to stand down on anything that I believe in. I'm only going to get stronger because I'm not alone. I have a whole army around me.
That's facts.
Kyrie, while we're on the topic of promotion, why did you decide to promote something that Alex Jones said?
That was a few weeks ago. I do not stand with Alex Jones' position, narrative, court case that he had with Sandy Hook, or any of the kids that felt like they had to relive trauma, or parents that had to relive trauma, or to be dismissive to all the lives that were lost during that tragic event. My post was a post from Alex Jones that he did in the early 90s or late 90s about secret societies in America of occults. And it's true. So I wasn't identifying with anything of being a campaignist for Alex Jones or anything. I was just there to post. And it's funny, and it's actually hilarious, because out of all the things I posted that day, that was the one post that everyone chose to see. It just goes back to the way our world is and works. I'm not here to complain about it. I just exist.
And to follow up on the promotion of the movie and the book.
Can you please stop calling it a promotion? What am I promoting?
Put it out on your platform.
But I'm promoting it? Do you see me in front of
putting it out there, people are going to say that you are
promoting. Put it out there just like you put things out there, right?
Yeah, but
it's not. You put things out there for a living, right?
Right, but my stuff is not.
So let's move on.
Let's move on. Anti-Semitic.
Let's move on. Don't dehumanize me up here.
I'm not doing that.
You're free to post. I can post whatever I want. So say that and shut it down and move on to the next question.
But Kyrie, you have to understand that
I don't have to understand anything from you.
It's not me.
Nothing.
By
posting no people that you're making up, bro. Move on.
But by posting
move
what
on.
you
Next
did,
question.
Anybody is going to look at it and they're going to say,
you guys have any more questions? Because this is going to be a clip. This is going to be a clip that he's going to marvel at. Is this any more questions?
But you're not answering the question.
Oh, this is another answering your question. Oh my God, let's make another Instagram clip so we could be famous again. Next question.
Kyrie, basketball related.
We'll move on to that.
So look.
And it's a title.
What'd you think, man?
I think that shit was brilliant for the fact that he was able to stand on his morals and values without disrespecting anybody. And that's what people not getting. He's doing all this and he's not disrespecting not one area of culture, not a specific race, not a specific religion. But he's basically saying, I got the right to fucking educate myself. And that's what most people are starting to lose touch of. You got the right to educate yourself. You can learn more than what you learn in school. Like, shit, it doesn't hurt for you to try to learn more about where you come from, where your origins are. It's like people just want you to be stuck in this one-dimensional world.
Man, that's a fucking fact. What would you think about ultimately the way that this anti-Semitism is beginning to surface so much frequently now, and why you think is that's the case? You know what I'm saying? Is it black folks becoming more woke? Or well, what's the deal? You know, we see that Kanye, we see Kyrie, we see Nick Cannon. You know what I'm saying? You see Whoopi Goldberg. You know what I'm saying? A couple different motherfuckers. What you think?
I just feel like another group of people found the way to mark their oppression as relative as we speak on our oppression. Like I spoke to a Jewish dude earlier today at the fucking Falcons game because he had brought up Kyrie shit randomly in the middle of the game. And he just kept asking, like, do black people feel like they hate Jews? Like, no, at the end of the day, me personally, like shit, I'm real into history and shit. I know about the history of the Holocaust. I know about all of those things. I don't try to equate it to the trials and tribulations that us blacks have went through. I think that other groups and other religions need to practice the same thing. When you hear Black Lives Matter, they're not saying Black Lives Matter and these other lives don't. They're just focusing on the Black lives. And people resent us for focusing solely on the Black lives. That's all that shit is.
Man, that was very well put, my dog. Very well put. You know what I'm saying? The one thing too, um, it make me really just think now, you know what I'm saying? Because if you got mad, not you particularly, but if a person got mad at Kyrie's post-game interview, even if they took his shit wrong because they never seen the video that which they're claiming he promoted because he posted it, right? I guess, you know, you can take it like, damn, why he's saying some hateful shit about Jews. The thing that I'm curious about is why is the world so socially conscious of Jewish trauma? You know what I'm saying? I have a real question about that as far as like, you know, okay. We know that, you know, the motherfuckers was getting slaughtered in the concentration camp by Hitler and that shit was fucked up. You know what I'm saying? I do understand that. The Black Holocaust, like you said, we ain't trying to compare, say which one is worse or no shit like that. But what I'm saying is, if the world gonna be so consciously aware of the Jewish trauma, and we're gonna have to tread lightly, or everything gonna get shut down if you say anything about Jewish people, then why they don't acknowledge Black trauma? You know what I'm saying? They throw racism, or not racism, but slavery in our face everywhere, bro. From school to movies to popular culture. You know what I'm saying? They want to remind us every bit that, you know what I'm saying, we were slaves and where we came from, but at the end of the day,
That shit just started my fuck Will Smith campaign. I
hey,
just watched that today.
that shit is really kind of hard because, you know, and this ain't just with white people, but I guess it is to the non-melanin motherfuckers who have a problem with Black people identifying as the original Jews. Because I guess if you knew anything about Judaism, which I don't, I guess it does have something about God's chosen people. They feel special or something. So I guess if they, you know, if they found out that they ancestors were lying to them and they weren't the chosen people and they found out somebody else was, because allegedly what happened was, right, you know, before with Israel, I guess, you know, whatever, when they established Israel, what was it, 1950s, 60s or some shit like that. Um, you know, you got all these predominantly white motherfuckers there. You know, they stripped the Palestinians of their land and shit, and they put the you know, this designated area for it to be this, you know, holy city. They end up getting some Black Jewish motherfuckers from a different area that end up coming as a result to that area. And they had all this history that they brought with them that correlated with the same religion. So at that point in time, I believe it put Jewish people, white Jewish people, in the point like, oh shit, this may change our stance in Judaism if Black people, you know what I'm saying, or whatever the case. I think that's one thing interesting too. Like, why do they run from it so much? All we're saying is that if the whole world came from Africa, my nigga, everything, you know what I'm saying? Everything spawned from that. And if you got a bunch of poor motherfuckers that traveled to Israel to escape Ethiopia or whatever the case, and they had all this new shit that they had already known about Judaism that wasn't taught to them. That, I mean, from like the white perspective, that they already had this taught from their grandmothers and they, you know what I'm saying, their ancestors have been doing this. How can you disregard that? That's like dinosaur bones. What's the word, Trav? TGI and flames up in this motherfucker. I think your shit
What's
on.
good, bro?
What up, though?
What's the deal, man? We in here. We played the Kyrie clip, man. I want to know what you think about that. And we just, at the end of the day, we had to get to the notion because I don't see why anybody pissed off once you hear Kyrie's post game. That was very articulate. It was well put. I had to realize right now we got to address the elephant in the room, and what it is white people, they don't even want to raise the suspicion, let the notion that black people were Jewish before them, because a part of Judaism is based off of them being God's chosen people, which is very unique. So I guess we got to understand a little bit about Judaism to understand why they try so hard not to let that narrative spin. But once they created Israel, you know what I'm saying, or tried to designate this once holy land, Jerusalem as whatever, did it in 1960s. Like I said, you came in at the part where we were saying that they end up getting a lot of African migrants who were Jewish, who were claiming that their ancestors were Jewish as well. That that Judaism had been in Africa, and then that they call them the ancient Hebrew Israelites.
How about how the Ethiopian Jews?
Yeah, and a lot of those Hebrew Israelites, they ventured to Israel from Jerusalem. Like, if we being real specific, they ventured from Jerusalem to get to.
They passed down a lot of history. That's the point. So like this the thing, and I'm glad you brought that point up too, because this thing right now it's a big thing with, like, they're starting it last year, so they've been deporting black Jewish people out of Israel. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna play an article about that, and it make you think, like, why are they doing that? Because the thing is, it's supposed to be like holy land in essence. So the thing is, if that's why the white people were destined to that land. Right. And that's the problem of why they don't need this narrative to spin, because if African can trace that lineage, we would technically be entitled to the shit that they claim to have built, which could amount to wealth, real estate, all kind of shit, that they could lose this and not be this dominant sub-genre inside motherfucking Judaism, because that's all white Jewish people is just a sub-genre.
Ethiopian Jews.
And I feel like
do you hear me? They tried to call the Ethiopian Jews the beta Jews. Like, they came after. Like, the motherfuckers who came from Africa, once y'all already established Israel in like 1950s, 60s type shit. And then you had these people from Africa feeling like they was destined to this land too, because they was, you know what I'm saying? They wasn't even phased off the white and black shit because they was Jewish. They was like, yes, this is a holy land. We wanted to travel here. It was our dream to finally get here. And now, and now you got a situation like this.
Black Americans who began moving to Israel in the late 1960s, claiming to be descendants of the ancient Israelites. They're known for religious practices that include veganism and polygamy, and number about 3,000 people here in Israel, most of whom live in the southern desert town of Dimona. Now, most have received permanent residency under arrangements with the Israeli government, but now at least 46 families have just received deportation orders from the Interior Ministry saying that they have to leave the country within just 60 days. Well, we have Prince Emmanuel Ben Yehuda joining us from Dimona itself. He's the national spokesman for the African Hebrew Israelites of Jerusalem. So first of all, tell us more about your community and when this movement to Israel began.
Well, thank you very much, Natasha, for having us on this evening. Well, there's a very rich history of tribes across Africa tracing their descendants to the land of Israel. And it also extends into the Americas, where many of the tribes were taken during the slave trade. In fact, there's a book by Professor James Landing out of the University of Chicago called Black Judaism, the History of an American Movement, which traces the presence of African Americans who trace their descendants to Israel back to the 1500s. So it's quite a very rich history that then in 1966, at a Beta Hebrew Cultural Center in Chicago, which was home of one of the many Israelite communities in the Americas, Ben-Ami, the spiritual leader of our community, the founder of our community, had a vision that it was time for descendants of the Israelites among African Americans to return to the Holy Land. And a year later, in 1967, he led 350 members of the community back into Liberia for 2.5 years. And then in 1969, the first members of the community began to come back into Israel.
Right.
And that was our beginning back home.
So
and when he say back home, of course, Israel was established, like you said, in like 1960 or whatever fuck number he said. But you got to imagine that used to be Jerusalem, right? in that particular ancient part of the world. You know what I'm saying? So what you think about that, Trav? I know we kind of threw a lot at you, but I want to know what you think about the Kyrie shit. Why are they so fucking sensitive to be anti-Semite? Why are they so quick to say that? And then when black people say this, how can I be anti-Semite when I'm the original Jew? They don't want you to say that, because if you say that, you're entitled to everything that they collected as a result. Which I think of being Jewish.
Shoot, I think they don't want nobody who don't look like they're part of their club to be in their club, to even act like their club, talk about their club. Like, this is our specific power group where we run this shit and we got control of this shit. And I feel like it was great that Kyrie spoke up. And I think it's weird. Like, I never heard this anti-Semitic. I ain't never seen it get pushed. But now now that I'm seeing, you can't say nothing about history. If that shit happened or not, if that shit real, you still can't say that shit, because they gonna still come at your ass.
Why is that?
It's because everybody is in a competition for sympathy. They see today, us blacks, we're starting to get noticed in the trials and tribulations that we go through as a people. And other groups of people, they starting to see that, and they don't want us to be a part of their groups because they trying to be the leading one, getting the sympathy and empathy from the American people. Everybody is looking for the attention of the Americans right now.
Do y'all remember when Nick Cannon went through his little problem?
Mm-hmm.
And look, and they was like, he went and backtracked, but technically, if you look into it, don't be ignorant. He didn't actually backtrack. He never actually regressed from saying that black people weren't the original Jews or anything. He just wanted to know more about the Holocaust. I'm gonna edit that right so I don't offend anybody in that aspect. But they do use that Holocaust shit in a way that we can't use slavery, which isn't fair. We can't use slavery. We can't use slavery to sit up here and use motherfuckers to bait our sympathy for the world and shit. Like, Black Holocaust has been going on hundreds of years, my nigga. I don't know how long the Holocaust went on, but I don't think it went on as long as the Black Holocaust. Just keeping it
the
real.
murdering of Jews by Nazis, that shit lasted probably no more than 10 to 12 years.
Let me say this too. It's fucked up, and Lorraine just said this too before we potted. Do you know? Look at this, y'all. The Jewish motherfuckers don't have a problem with Russians saying that there were Jews in Russia going back 1,500 years. They're willing to acknowledge that. Why would they even acknowledge that? But yet they're going to call the African Jews beta Jews. They had a beta Jewish center in Chicago to say that it was an extension of what these white people built, because these white people, who are technically the chosen people of God, you know what I'm saying? They're the ones that's keeping that particular aspect and theory alive, as far as like trying to be the dominant race. I believe it could be the Jewish people after all this time. After all this time, it may not have started off being the Jewish people, but when you look at it today, the Jewish people are doing how they shut Kanye out. If y'all seen that new video he did trying to explain the shit, he showed all those different red shits to show Jews who all had a Jewish executive. That shit was staggering.
The Jews, they want to be that oppressed group of people. We can edit this shit out, but
they are, though. They were oppressed. I ain't gonna hate on that. They did get slaughtered by.
They want to be the popular oppressed group.
Right.
They're trying to do the same thing that we trying to do as blacks. We trying to escape the entitlement from the culture.
How can one oppressed group who got their reparations and maxed out off all the oppression and shit and straight cashed out off it? The Jewish people completely cashed out off since this Hitler shit. Let's keep it real. They have completely turned that into a positive now. And how can you say anything about some motherfuckers who's still being lynched? How can you say anything to niggas who still being lynched, still putting getting need on the street and shit? You know what I'm saying? Nigga Kanye, he say DEFCON 3. And look, let's look at the definition of this, because Kanye said this, but I didn't know if it was true or not. And Lorraine vouched, because she was in the military, so I believed her. But I want to see it for sure. The definition.
Yeah, I learned about that.
They're saying that DEFCON 3 is actually a level of preparation. It isn't like, oh, you're going to slaughter. It's actually like prepare to, that type of level. Like we're getting to that level in essence, but it's more of a preparation thing, not more, oh, we got to slaughter the Jewish people. So I think that people took that out of consideration. Maybe they seen the con and thought concentration camps, they seen death. Maybe they took it out of war. They took it out of context. He a hip hop rapper. Maybe they thought they knew what the fuck he was saying. But even if you look at the actual term, which I'm trying to find, the definition of DEFCON 3. Because allegedly, look, next step to nuclear war. Armed forces ready to deploy and engage in less than 6 hours. Which means that is look what Ye did. That's what just happened. So I can't say, look, when Ye put that White Lives Matter shirt on, I checked out. I had all kind of shit to say about him. Luckily, I ain't proud about it, because boy, I was checked out. But when he doubled right back, like literally right back, and said that shit about the Jewish people, I was like, okay, I'm gonna relax, because Ye just going in on everything. So I that kind of chilled me out, But this here, when you look at it, DEFCON 3, what is DEFCON 5?
Yeah.
When you look at it like this. So this is even more a reason to show you that could this have been orchestrated by Ye to get out of his contracts? He knew what the fuck he was saying. DEFCON 3. Why haven't nobody said this? Why haven't nobody pulled up the definition? Because the media outlets and all them companies own that shit, and they got to push that narrative. I don't know how anybody could have watched Kyrie's interview and walked away from that as if he was anti-Semitic, unless it's critical for you to not let that narrative of black people being the original Jews, because you guys were able to do some contractual shit to obtain all kind of land and resources as a result of that. Maybe that's what it is, because then they say Jesus was Jewish. And I'm not saying I believe in Jesus, but just saying, like, ain't the story somehow Christianity and Judaism is tied because Jesus was allegedly Jewish, right?
Right.
So I don't know how that worked out or how it worked. So I just think it's really deep, But allegedly, it's Jews in Russia for 1,500 years. That they'll let that ride. They'll let that go. They're like, yeah, hell yeah, it was, but it wasn't none in Africa for sure. That.
Man, Jesus had wool hair in the Bible, if we go on by the holy book. And I don't know no people that's got pale skin with that type of hair. Anybody who can be out in the sun that long.
Where do they think they got that curly hair from? The Drew froze. Where do they think?
Every picture you see, every statue you see,
every
it's a white man.
Nigga, I think is mixed. Keep it real. Keep it real. Come on, man. They cashed them out because they they cashed them out because they was light.
Keep it real. That's the truth.
Oh, what if they just cashed them out because they was light skinned? You know what I'm saying? It's kind of.
I just feel like black Jewish people been getting house though. You even take it back to entertainment and house, and they have done things to ruin this character, to ruin who he is, because I feel that he is a black Jew. That might be part of the reason.
Yeah, we just still niggas. They like, oh, get this nigga out of here. You want what? Oh, get this nigga out of here.
On the interviewer, the first thing they would have been trying to label him as that angry black man, and so many other words.
Man,
did y'all see? He talked about George Floyd. This is not the daughter mom. I think was it the daughter mom? It's one of the two.
Yeah, that part. I mean, I ain't get them 2 million, and then they try to sue me for 250 million. So I don't know if I have a bone to fight in that one. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna keep it real.
I said off the top, I think they was just being greedy. 250.
I don't think they being greedy, because you already know.
He didn't tarnish no legacy. He didn't tarnish no George Floyd legacy. I put that on God.
But at the end of the day, any lawsuit, they looking for the settlement. So yeah, they might want that 250, but they probably just trying to get about 20 out the nigga. Like shit. As a black person, we know what they own. You're disrespecting my family member and the legacy that he left. So you gonna have to pay for that shit.
Even seeing look, y'all see this? Look how CNN This is what you see when you type yay in CNN. Notice Kanye West anti-Semitism did what his anti-blackness did not, and some people have a problem with that. See, that's like I've got to respect that because that's probably where I'm at with it. I don't, when he did that White Lives Matter shirt, I was outraged. But when he came back and then spoke the truth about the Jewish shit, I just thought, I was like, damn, like, and to actually see, when I seen the Goodwill say that they won't take no Yeezy products, bro, at that point in time, dog, I'm like, what is the world, though?
Bro, that
Pastors,
shit weird.
you
On
got
some real
pastors
shit,
stealing
went to
kids.
Goodwill down here in Atlanta yesterday trying to find some easy shit. They really is giving it away. Like they're literally sitting outside the building and waiting for people to pick that shit up.
Well, shit, let me know, because I think it's time I get Yeezys. I've never bust no Yeezys because they be too
That's
expensive.
why I'm telling people. I'm like, shit, them bitches too expensive. They used to always sell out. So
Let them
now,
bitches be at
give them
Walmart.
away. I'm going to take
He probably
every
can't even
pair.
get them at Walmart now, can he? He
So
can't.
what he need to do is what Sway told him many years ago was just to be independent, create your own shit. And you ain't gotta worry about none of that shit. But he just
But
wanna be loved and get white respect and just
I
wanna
don't even think it's that. I think he wants the white cosign at the end of the day. Because me right now, I can go on AliExpress and start a high roller shoe right now for $150. He wants that cosign because he feel like he won't be as great within the business without that white cosign. But what he needs to learn is that, man, there's so many people that made it without that shit.
Period. And even if not made it, this is the thing. We gotta define our metrics of success. Redefine our metrics of what success is to us as black folks. We want a white nigga success, a white motherfucker success version of success. We want to see what that looks like. What that look like, nigga, is you being the only black motherfucker and your neighbors don't fuck with you. You know what I'm saying? That's really what it comes down to. Or you being the only black nigga at a good ass job around a bunch of white niggas that want your head because they don't want to work for a black nigga.
But
That's
that's the
that's the
crazy part of
reality.
Kanye shit is that he done reached black people's success about 20 years ago. So you got 20 years for your mind to wander.
Man, Kanye
After
he
at the
OJ
college
himself.
dropout, between college dropout and late registration, he reached the black people plateau. We don't look for much, even though we do want a lot. But a lot of niggas will say, hey, I'll be cool with this or I'll be cool with that. I'm pretty sure that, yeah, he reached that plateau between the first and second album.
Yeah.
After that, he wanted to be like Steve Jobs. I don't know why, but he
Why you
wanted
don't
to
want to
be
be like Kobe? You know what I'm saying? There's so many great black
oh,
motherfuckers.
and that's where that's where I shout Kanye out for his blackness. Because at the end of the day, Oprah's put on by the white man, paid by the white man. Even though she got the billion, the white man to put her on is probably 5 to 10 times as rich as Oprah.
Right.
So I kind of feel him with that aspect.
This the real question. Jay-Z and Beyonce, they like to be so ducked off in their little castle. But where the fuck is they when time like this? I want them to say anything. If they going I want to see this. Because if Beyonce or Jay-Z say anything as far as, oh, dick sucking the Jewish people, like, oh, I don't condone any anti-Semitism. If you lead with that, that lets me know what side you on. Just know that. It don't even
But no,
matter. It don't
that's
even
they
what
matter.
not
side they
picking,
on.
they not picking no side because Beyonce is about to go on tour. And the headlines is that shit. A couple of her tickets just got auctioned off for almost 50,000-60,000 a seat. They're not going to say anything no time soon. Jay might put it in the feature verse probably next year, but
Yeah.
I can see they'll never fuck up their money for any movement. It don't matter which race or group of people it is. They'll never fuck up their money.
Oh man. That was very articulated too, man. I ain't gonna lie.
I like how you said he might put it in the feature verse.
Yeah,